What the hell is going on? 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 I traveled far to be with you, then you leave me, girl. That's not cool. I never thought that this could happen. What the hell is going on? 'Cause I love you, I need you. Said I see you moving on the dance floor. I never thought that this could happen. What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on, baby? What the hell is going on? Tell me what the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? 'Cause there was a time you were here with me, girl. All things were fine, lost and happily, baby. Then you decide that you're not gonna be mine. But I lost my mind. This life is not for me. 'Cause I love you, I need you. Said I see you grooving on the dance floor. I never thought that this could happen. What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? Yeah. What the hell is going on? Tell me what the hell is going on? What the hell is going on, baby? What the hell is going on?
Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? What the hell is going on? Oh my God.
It has been quite the night of debates, but I will tell you what, we're 10 seconds into the show, and I know this is already going to be my favorite show that we have already constructed.
So here's the thing, man. When we decided to start Calling America back in the day, this was kind of one of the things that I was looking forward to. I was looking forward to being a part of, what's happening in America, like as it's happening, and the debates were going to be exciting. I can't wait. I couldn't wait for everybody to connect. I got everybody reaching out to me and stuff. Okay, cool. So, welcome, guys. My name is Kelvin.
I'm Taylor.
And we are Call in America. We got some people in the comments. All right, what's up, Candace? How you doing? Let's go ahead and shout you guys out. What are y'all saying out there? Go ahead and if you guys are out there, put your thoughts in the comments. You will be shouted out tonight. We got Candace Stinger who says, what the heck did I just watch? Baby, we about to talk about it. And she's talking about the debate. I mean, go ahead and put your thoughts in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. Got Hisela Duran saying, still trying to process the debate. If you guys are watching the show, please do us a favor and share the stream. We would like to get everybody to just kind of weigh in on what happened tonight, man. Tonight was absolutely out of control. Tay, what are your thoughts, man? Like what?
So
what?
It was a little bit, I wouldn't say maybe a shit show is the correct word. I'm not quite sure. But what I can say is that, there was a few things, and we're going to go through the show and identify and go into some of the topics.
We got some great guest speakers tonight too. Sorry to interrupt you, baby. We got some great guest speakers tonight. We'll talk about them in a second. Go ahead.
But there was a couple of observations that I think all of us saw, right? I think we saw President Trump that was constantly interrupting, constantly rebuttaling, constantly, and in some cases, just some of the facts that were just inaccurate. And it came off very childish, right? It came off very not presidential-like, which is, I was hoping for more. I was hoping that this could be an actual debate, and it clearly wasn't, and it's unfortunate.
There's a lot to unravel here, guys. There's a lot to unbox. I saw that. I saw somebody say that earlier, so I actually really want to jump into it. So,
but real quick, so not only. But here's the thing, too, is that while President Trump's areas of opportunity for improvement were obvious, there were also some points with Biden that I was disappointed in. I saw him get confused. I saw him not ask the question. I saw the moderator, Chris Wallace, have to reiterate the question of
kind of redirect.
Okay, you're talking about spending. I asked you about job placements, right? Like, so it's not, you're not answering the question, and each time he would come back and say, "Hey, nope, my apologies. Let me get this back on track."
All right. So you're bringing up some really great points. We got some really great people that are ready to weigh in on tonight. I want to jump right into it, guys. So welcome to Call in America. We got three wonderful guest hosts. We have Mohib, who's been on the show before. He's absolutely amazing. He's a voice to be reckoned with. He's a voice that needs to be heard. I've said that about him before. We've got Kevin Fry. Kevin Fry is somebody who's awesome. He's going to be able to provide a very different perspective. We got all different views tonight, okay? And then we got William Ellers. And so we got three different guest hosts that are going to weigh in on tonight and truly have their say. Tonight is about discussion. It's not about debate necessarily. I do want to know who you thought won the debate. That's the end of that's pretty much going to be the bottom line of tonight's discussion. So yeah, that being said, here are the rules for Call in America, okay? We're going to open up the phone lines in just a minute here. This show is just as much as your show as it is ours. If you do drink, make yourself a drink out there because we're going to spend about 45 minutes just really kind of getting into it. And here's our motto. Your opinion is not right. It's yours. And we mean that, okay? I have my personal opinions about tonight's debate. Taylor has his personal opinions. Our guests have their personal opinions. You have your personal opinion. You can absolutely weigh in. You can speak your truth. You can say your opinion, but it's not factual, right? Your opinion is your opinion. So your opinion is not right. It is yours. Tay, shall we bring in our first guest?
Sure.
Or did you have more that you wanted to say?
Let's do it.
All right, let's weigh in. So the first one that I actually want to bring in, I want to bring in William Ellers, who's got some things to say about tonight. And what we want to do is we want to go over each section of the debate tonight, or just the main ones that kind of stood out to us. So once again, if you guys are out there, we got a lot of people watching. Please share the stream right now, and let's get right into it. William Ellers, let's bring you to the stream. How you doing, my friend? Welcome to the show. We got William Ellers on the show. Welcome.
Hello, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Hey, man. What are your thoughts about tonight's debate?
After watching the Real Housewives reunion, my thoughts about it are I'm actually surprisingly pleased in a way that I didn't think that I would be, especially because I wrote in my notes right up front, one of the first things Biden said is that he's not going to hold Trump accountable for his lies because everybody knows he's a liar. And right before he said that, I had actually gone on Facebook and said the only thing they need to do is hold him accountable for his lies. But I think that he ended up actually doing that, even though he said he wasn't going to. Right off the bat, and you can stop me anytime if I'm going.
No, you're
long.
fine, my friend. Speak your truth. Speak your truth. We'll cut in when we need to. Go ahead.
Like for once, I feel like Biden actually defended himself against a lot of lies that are being spread. The first thing was trying to pin Biden as a socialist and getting rid of private health insurance. It's absolutely not true. Biden has said, if you like your insurance, you can keep your insurance. But for people who can't afford it, he does want to make it accessible for everyone. So that was the first lie. Another thing that Trump loves to say lately is that he has lowered the prices of prescription drugs. That's absolutely incorrect. Drug prices have gone up under Trump. He did sign an executive order to lower them, but he never enforced it. So drug prices have gone up. What else? Oh, one thing that most people probably didn't catch. I'm going a little out of order here, but it was at the end when Trump tried to kind of belittle Biden's son for recovering from drugs. I don't think that that's something that's funny. I don't think you should make a joke out of the fact that he is a recovering drug addict. I think that's higher. I think
it was a low blow. I think it was a low blow. And actually, I think that's where I want to start. I mean, you brought up some very valid points. So we got multiple people that we want to bring on that we're going to be able to address those points. But I think that's kind of what I want to start out with is just like, let's talk about like the professionalism of the debate, right? Let's all get on the same page about the professionalism.
There's a level of professionalism that is a minimum expectation, but then there's a level of presidential swagger, I guess, if you will. Is that the correct word? Like, there's a way that a president
swagger is the right word. Absolutely.
There's like professionalism, and then there's like the president, like or the VP or whichever. Like, the professionalism is like the minimum expectation. But let's talk about the presidential expectation of how one should hold themselves up to as a president. And
absolutely,
Wayne, what are your thoughts of how both? I mean, honestly, in the VP and the president upheld themselves as elected officials.
So, and before you answer that, we have Tuesday Pugsley, who says, "What a shit show! The debate, not CIA." Thank you for that clarification, Tuesday. So, what a shit show! What are your thoughts about that, William? Was this a shit show for you?
Well, my thoughts are that the whole term presidential went out the window when Trump was elected. And I do agree under normal circumstances that there should be a level of professionalism, but I also think Hillary Clinton was professional and she lost. So I don't think being professional is going to get anywhere in these debates. I think the only way to get anywhere is to straight up call him a liar and call him out when he's BSing. Like, I don't think you can be professional and get through to him.
Yeah, and you know what? One thing that I really do is because I mean, I think the areas of opportunity were wildly apparent, right? They were speaking over each other, some more than others, whichever, and just the level of professionalism, the expectations that we have of our president or a past VP were just not upheld. But one thing that I did really notice is that Biden spoke into the camera and he spoke to the American people.
To the people. He talked to the people, man. Like, what are your thoughts about that?
Trump didn't do that once. He didn't look right in the camera. He didn't address anything. He was looking at Chris Wallace and he was looking at Biden. And
directing his comments towards either one of those.
Yeah.
Like it was not professional at all. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But
go ahead.
No, it's back to William. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? And not only it kind of addressed the professionalism side of things,
speaking specifically to the debate
to America.
Yeah.
I actually noticed that, but my opinion was kind of the opposite because I felt like Trump was looking at Biden when he was talking to him. Like you're right, he wasn't looking at the camera, looking at America.
Absolutely.
But I also thought it was a little bit almost like a cold shoulder that you're not gonna like look at him and acknowledge him even once.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Especially since they're 6 feet apart, they're not doing the handshakes, which I doubt Trump would shake his hand anyways. But it was almost like Biden just didn't even want to acknowledge that he was there.
So something I want to bring up. And this is very funny. So he Duran says when Biden said, "Let me talk," that was priceless. And I wrote that down. I said one of the things that Biden said this a couple of times. He said, "Will you please shut up?" Okay, will you please shut up, man? And I just think that's just a level of professionalism and just being a mature adult that we're dealing with here. And I just think that that Trump is really trying to become our president again, and he's just talking over people, and it's just like it's out of control. We were watching the debates, and I saw so many. I made a post today, and so many people made comments that like my 2-year-old doesn't act like that. What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, I think Trump is catering to his base. This is what his base likes about him. They like that he's out of control and that he acts like a child. I mean, that's what people always say. He says what he thinks, or he doesn't talk. He talks like the rest of us. Like, I think that's what got him elected. And considering it's a debate, I think that he was catering to his audience even more than he normally would have.
Yeah.
So I do want to bring in our next guest host. I want this to be an open discussion. So we have Mohib Zara, who's coming in, and he's going to be able to weigh in on these very same topics. Mohib, welcome to the show. What are your thoughts, my friend? Weigh in.
So
we're jumping right in, guys. That's how we're doing this one. Go ahead.
So I'm drinking coffee because that gave me a virgin hangover, that whole display. And it went down exactly as I expected it to. I knew going in that it was going to be, I'm going to be crass here about it. 2 old white guys with a history of racism, one more so than the other, trying to convince the other is worse. And that Trump was going to continuously interrupt because his whole thing, I mean, we talk about professionalism. We look at him; he's a businessman, right? So he's been in business meetings, and I've worked in an industry where I've had to endure a lot of business meetings and all that nonsense with a room full of professional adult people who know their shit. Trump isn't a person who knows his shit, but he's convinced himself, and everybody around him has convinced himself he knows his shit because he's the guy with the money. When you're the guy with the money, people will like just shut up and listen. They'll lean onto you. They'll coddle you. And so Chris Wallace, he was moderating, and I think he leaned more on favoring Trump as much as he was also pushing back on him. I think Do you
really think that? Do you think that he was favoring Trump? Because I heard that too. I heard that Chris whatever his last name is trash, and I was like, well, I thought he was doing a pretty good job at it. I didn't really see that he was leaning towards Trump. But are you saying that's what you felt tonight?
So I think ideologically, Chris Wallace leans where Trump claims to be. So
wow,
Chris Wallace still has a personal agenda. So I do believe that to some degree he leaned on that, but he does call out Trump. He has been very good about calling out bullshit. Yeah. So I think he was still coddling him in the way that you kind of stuck having to. Because if that was any other situation, if Trump was in, if he wasn't rich and was just some guy that I was working with and he spoke like that, he would be fired. He would immediately be off the call. So, but they're stuck in that situation. He's the president. It's a debate. You have to deal with him.
You have to deal with him.
If like Biden behaved that way, Biden would be shut down, told to leave the room. And
yeah.
Trump kept behaving that way because every meeting I'm sure he's ever been in, he's the big guy with the money and the power. So he just goes on this barrage of nonsense and words, just dumps whatever he can. He's all about sound bites. And he wasn't getting the time he usually gets. He usually gets like 4 or 5 hours of rallies, right?
Come on now. Uninterrupted.
Yes. Yeah, so he just keeps talking nonstop. And so he needs to get a word in. He needs to throw sound bites in. He needs to derail everybody else and shut them down with his force because he's used to doing that. He just yells in a room trying to convince himself because he's an insecure man. I mean, this is how insecure people behave. They talk constantly over everybody, try to shut everybody down, and then somebody coddles them by throwing them a bone, taking that nonsense and turning into something coherent. That often turns into some executive order or says he's doing a thing. He doesn't actually enforce or deal with the process or creates the plan. So if you notice, any other politician, when they talk about something their administration did, they always say like we, or with the help of my cabinet, my administration, we put together this plan. We. Trump says, I did this. I just like, you didn't go there. You didn't do this. You didn't craft this plan. You don't know anything about medicine. You don't know anything about viruses or vaccine distribution or a manufacturing process or industry. He doesn't know that stuff. He just says shit. and expects people to do the work. So
he says it, but he says it with a level of confidence. And I think if you guys have seen our show, you know her stance, but he says it with a level of confidence where it's like, is that real? Is that? But
he makes you want to believe him.
He does, right?
Trump knows how to win. I've said this.
And he says, boom, I got it. This is what, and while I don't agree with it, but he has a level of confidence to him. And when we look at the other party, the Democratic side with Joe Biden, I'm not sure if it was there. And I actually saw more confusion, but Mohib and William, did you guys see the level of confidence that Trump portrayed, but then did you also see a similar amount of confidence and action plan that Biden has in his next steps and everything he was saying?
Let's start with you, William. Go ahead, weigh in.
As far as a level of you're asking me if I feel like Biden had the same level of confidence.
Yes, speak on that.
I actually think that he did a lot more than I was expecting. Yeah. So I have this. I don't want to talk about conspiracy theories, but I kind of have this theory that Biden has been spending the last several months taking speech therapy, because everyone knows that he's the guy with all these gaffes and that he stumbles on his words, doesn't know where he is or what he's saying and all that. And I honestly think that he's really been honing in on that. And I do think that showed tonight. I mean, I don't think he really messed up at all. The only part I caught where he had one little mess up is he first said millions of scientists and then changed it to thousands. That was the only mistake I noticed.
Yeah.
But I actually think that his confidence kind of grew as the debate progressed. I feel like he started off feeling like, okay, I need to be professional. I need to act presidential. But I think he quickly realized that's not going to work. And I just need to shut him down. And I think Biden wore the pants in the debate.
I'm with you on that one. Mohib, let's hear your thoughts. What do you think, man? Who do you think that Biden was able to control the room? Go ahead. The floor is yours.
So I think Biden did a great job of holding his composure. I definitely know that he would have probably came off more confident, more coherent. I renew that if he hadn't been continuously interrupted, because that kind of level of interaction is so frustrating that you could see that. I think Biden, and I think we're talking about with him kind of building towards the end, that I feel that might have been because he was just getting adversarial at that point. For me, spite is my ultimate motivator and fuel. So if I were in his position, I might get more vocal and strong. And you could definitely see that Biden started to interrupt in a more reasonable way. He started. I'm sorry. I'm being like Biden. I'm interrupting you. I'm sorry. He started mimicking Trump there. I'm just really excited because we have our final guest host that has just joined the stream, and I want him to be able to weigh in on this stuff too, so that we can have an open conversation. Guys, we have Kevin Fry who's about to join the stream. Kevin Fry, how you doing, my friend? Welcome to the stream.
Hey guys.
What we're talking about right now is we're talking about professionalism. We're talking about how the debates went down. You're brand new to the stream. Do you think that Biden was professional in how he was? I'm sorry. Do you think that Biden had confidence in how he was handling Trump's rebuttals? The floor is yours. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he came across a lot better than Trump did in this. All I can figure out is that maybe Trump went into this with the strategy that he's just got to try to rock Biden and get him to get exhausted or lose his temper or something, and it was a gambit. And I don't think it worked. Biden kept it together pretty well to the end. So, wow. And to any casual viewer, I think Biden looked much better.
Okay, so we have a Jen Foxbot, and I'll have anybody answer this who says, I don't know if I'd say Trump is confident. He's just used to bullying people to get his way. Do you guys feel like there was some bullying happening tonight? Anybody can take that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Kevin, go ahead. Speak on that. Do you think Trump was bullying tonight?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm somebody who, my opinion of him has kind of softened over the last 3 years, where I've seen him more. I'll watch more of his rallies and that sort of thing, and I think his personality isn't as terrible as it's made out to be, but he would not win any converts with the way he performed tonight, because he really did come across as the guy he's portrayed to be.
Wow. That's impressive. William, what are your thoughts?
About what was just said?
Yeah. Do you think Trump was a bully tonight?
I don't think he was a bully tonight. I think Trump is a bully.
Sure.
24/7. I don't think that he was made out to look worse than he is. I think that's just what he is.
Yeah.
And I do think that when it comes to his level of confidence, I mean, the moderator is from Fox News, which is Trump's favorite. So I think that he was going to be given a lot of grace tonight. But
Right.
The moderator was the only person from Fox News who actually has some integrity. So he helped
when he was allowed to. Like, I think that poor man. Like, I want to give him the Oscar because, man, he really did it up, man. He tried his hardest.
Fired tomorrow from Fox News for being honest. So I'll pray for him. But Trump is a bully. Like, Trump was just himself. So
yeah. So what I'd like to do next, guys, is I like to go through a couple of just like kind of like the hot topics tonight that were discussed in the debate, and I just kind of want you to figure out, who do you feel won that argument, right? Now I want you to just kind of weigh in on what your thoughts were on it. So go ahead.
Well, and so if I can, I think there was a lot of different topics there, but the one that stood out to me a lot, and maybe it's because it's close to home, but is the category of race.
Let's talk about it.
And so there were, on both sides, there were opportunities and confrontations I think we should address as a group. So with Biden, he has had in the past called black people super predators, right? And they addressed that on the show. In addition to that, we had President Trump that was clearly asked to ask white supremacists and KKK members to stand down. He was asked by Christopher Wallace to say that verbatim, and he didn't finish the sentence. He didn't complete that actual sentence. He said, sure, I'll say it. Okay, then say it. Okay, well, you said half the sentence. You didn't actually administer to that group to stand down. You finished it just enough to kind of get a point across, but not actually provide direction and next steps. So I want to hear, because again, this is my section of the debate that was just like, kind of yelling, kind of frustrated.
Baby, guys, let me tell you. Let's take a pause right now. I was setting up for Calling America, and he's just like, didn't say it. I was like, oh crap, it's getting hot over here. Like Taylor was screaming at the screen. So let's start from top to bottom. William, we'll start with you. We'll go Mohib, and then we'll go to Kevin. What are you guys' thoughts about the race, the race topics? Who won? What were your thoughts? Weigh in. Go ahead.
I mean, like Taylor says, they both have not the best history when it comes to racial issues in America. I mean, even going back to where Biden said that, like, Obama was one of the only articulate black men or something like that. But I mean, as far as Trump goes, I mean, very fine people on both sides. Like, they both have a history of not saying the best things. I think when it comes to actually being racist, I really don't think that Biden is racist. I think that he's a product of his time, which may also kind of sound like the same thing as racist.
He's a white man.
I just feel like he's a product of his time. That's all I can really say to that. He says some really stupid things, but I don't really think that he has like an evil heart. Trump has done nothing but show racism every single day. So, I mean, whether it's you're Asian, you're black, you're Mexican, I mean, there's really no one that Trump doesn't have anything against, unless you're an attractive white, unless you're his daughter.
Mohib, what are your thoughts, my friend? Weigh in. Go ahead.
So on two parts on this, right? So on the subject of who won, they both won. So as far as either's base goes, I mean, we all dislike Biden. You either love Biden or you kind of are just like, okay, we have Biden. He's not terrible. Excuse me. And then Trump, he's winning with his base, his like diehard base is always going to support him. I've already seen comments online and various social media platforms where people actually thought Biden was the disruptive person. And like, that's just a cognitive dissonance. That's just beyond me at this point. But when it did come, I was with Taylor on the whole, like yelling at the screen. I'm like, just say the damn thing. And instead, he wanted to throw blame, shift blame to the left, say like Antifa is racist. And there's something just insane about someone being asked to condemn white supremacy and then say anti-fascism is bad, which is psychotic. And then he kept, he said, without someone specifically saying Proud Boys, I don't think that Chris Wallace mentioned Proud Boys by name, but Trump said Proud Boys. And I think somebody said he said stand by, because I thought he said stand down. But he was doing more dog whistling. He didn't want to flat out say it. And that's the reality of it. White supremacists are his supporters. And he knows that even people who don't realize they're white supremacists hate that term and feel attacked by it. So he didn't want to attack his base that is, whether willingly or unwillingly, racist. And so I also don't think Biden is not racist as much as he is your white moderate. So he did not, like a white moderate as described by Martin Luther King, right? He talks about the violence and he doesn't show that, like, talk about how this is an expectation. Like, we all know that, yes, violence is bad, but rights are the language of the oppressed. And it's when, all peaceful negotiations are foreclosed, you default to riots and violence, and to show that, like, we're here and this is a problem. And Biden I think he won't take a firm stance on, like, defund the police, or
he wouldn't even tonight, though. I felt like he did tonight.
He said it subversively. I
felt like he did.
So that's what I mean. He said it subversively, where he would put funding towards community policing and social workers, because he knows that if he says defund the police, people don't understand the nuance of that. So I understand why he said it that way. And then I was annoyed that he wouldn't outright say Black Lives Matter. I think that's BS.
None of them did,
and I get it. and I guess he's still trying to play to part of his base that is Democratic, but doesn't get the movement.
Kevin Fry, what are your thoughts on friend? Weigh in.
Well, Biden had to walk a tightrope. He had to sort of hit the main talking points from the BLM movement and say things like, you drop terms like systemic racism and those sorts of things, which he did. So he didn't alienate the far left on those issues, but he also didn't say anything that was really extreme. So I think you got to give to Biden. He came across as sympathetic. He came across as progressive but reasonable. Trump had a very easy task. He just should have talked about the employment numbers, about wage growth for minorities, and talked about prison reform, and said, you know what, I've expanded the scope of freedom, and everybody likes freedom. Minorities like freedom too. If he'd have hit those points, it could have been an alternate sort of vision for the race dialogue. But he didn't. He just bungled it completely. I'm just kind of mystified at his performance.
I saw him reference coronavirus as the China plague several times throughout it. So it's
speaking of which,
he's not helping his cause whatsoever throughout it.
Speaking of which, let's transition.
So next topic, I do want to talk about the section about economy. So, Chris Wallace went into Trump saying that the economy recovery is in a V shape, while Biden's perspective and plan is more of in a K shape. And this really reflects back to how billionaires are actually disregard that. So talking about how Biden wants to close the economy if he's elected presidency, but then Trump wants to make sure that we keep the economy open and that we're thriving and that we're moving forward. So very, very different circumstances. And these affect not just, Biden and Trump, but this affects everyone on this call. It affects all of our commentaries of what we do next. And the next president will determine whether we go back to work, whether we shut down, whether we open more up, whether there's events. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? And maybe start from the bottom.
We'll start from the bottom. You each have a minute. Kevin, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
What do I think about their debate performance, or what do I think about?
Well, what do you think about their methodology? So you have one side that Trump is saying let's open up, and then you have Biden that is doing more of the K shape, and let's say, hey, we need to close.
Who won that debate? That's what I want to know. Who won that topic? That's what I like. What were your thoughts? Who won it? Like who took it? Go ahead. Floor is yours.
I thought that was kind of a loss for both sides. Neither of them really articulated anything about their economic agenda. I think that the sort of open things up approach is, it's clearly the winner for the economy. But I don't think Trump made that case very well. And Biden denies that he wants to close the country down again, and maybe he doesn't. So I don't see how either of them won on that.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Mohib.
So I think the winner of the kind of economic portion of the debate would also have to be whoever wins the debate around COVID, because they are closely tied right now. So, Trump hasn't done anything really for the economy. Like Biden tried to bring up repeatedly is that Trump inherited a booming economy from the Obama administration and rode on that like gravy train as it was already in a growth trajectory. And then, like he does with everything else, he's like a pump and dump kind of guy, right? He throws all these claims and boosts at things to make it seem like everything's booming, and that because the economy and stock numbers are doing great, it's great for everybody else. Well, I have stock. I have a 401k, and that hasn't like the economy going up or down hasn't affected me in a way that's reasonable. And most people don't have stocks. Most people, that doesn't affect them. A company getting rich doesn't mean you get rich. I think they're both in these places of privilege that they stock value and all that stuff might affect their well-being, but it doesn't affect anybody. Why does stock price or economy booming on paper do any good for people in the service industry? It doesn't help them. And so talking about that, I think, is when they talk about that, they're not talking to the American people. They're talking to the billionaires that they are both, that they both call to, right? Like those are the people that prop them up. And so Trump is full of BS, as always, on that topic. He thinks it's just like he's the guy that like shows up to a meeting and then brags about numbers that don't mean anything because he needs to prove value. Right? He's the guy that comes in with bullshit metrics that he found from like Twitter posts and he's the marketing guy that's like, okay, we got this many views on a post. That means we're doing the right thing. It's like, no,
all right,
that doesn't equate to anything. Sorry, I have a lot of
videos.
Mohit.
I feel you, my brother. I feel you, brother. William, go ahead. Final thoughts. Go ahead.
So I do believe that Biden won the debate over the coronavirus, but with that being said, the bar was set very low. For one, Trump brought up how Biden handled the swine flu. And Biden said himself, there were 14,000 deaths from swine flu, 200,000 deaths from coronavirus. I mean, 14,000, 200,000. I mean, it's kind of hard to debate which is better. Also, when Biden said that 1 in 1,000 African Americans dying from coronavirus, on track to be 1 in 500, that's ridiculous. That's unacceptable. I mean, Trump refuses to wear masks, makes jokes out of wearing masks, told Biden, oh, whenever I see you wearing the biggest masks I've ever seen. I mean, the bar was set really low, but it's kind of hard to deny the fact that Biden won that.
I listen, I agree with you guys. Listen, this is what I want to do right now. I want to open up the phone lines. This is Call in America. We got a lot of people watching. I think that we got some people that want to say some things, and I want to open it up. Hold on. Let me get there, guys. Oh my God. All right, guys, the phone lines are open. Give us a call. 585-502-7922. This is how it works, guys. If you guys give us a call, you can call in, you can speak your truth, you can say your thoughts about the things, or you can ask us a question. All right. So it's not about you're not a guest host, so we're not going to be engaging with you too much, but we are going to talk to you. So the phone lines are open. Taylor's going to bring us up the next topic. You can ask anything that you want to ask. You can make any point that you want to make. Yep. Go ahead. What's our next?
And the next topic is still under the economy. It kind of led into Trump's recent stories about him paying $750 in tax returns under federal income taxes in 2016 and 2017. And his response was, I paid millions of dollars in taxes.
Woo!
But then also stated shortly after that, I don't want to pay taxes, right? It was a portion of a larger statement, so that's paraphrasing. But to the group, maybe we'll start in the middle. Mohib, like what was your thoughts on his response to that, and then also Biden's commentary on it?
Go ahead.
So, like everything Trump does, it's all misdirection. So I think when he says he paid millions of taxes, I do believe that he did, but then he put so much refunds in. Like he got such a refund that it kind of invalidates any tax he paid, right? It's you can pay tax, but then if you report all losses, because he's a terrible businessman, which we've all known that it's been a repeated fact. And so he paid $750 in federal income tax. Now, I don't know a whole lot about tax law or how it works. And him saying he doesn't want to pay taxes, that's true. Nobody wants to pay taxes. But when you're president, you want people to pay taxes. You don't try to boast that you're skirting your civic duty. That's not a presidential thing to do. That's not setting an example. And that's no surprise that he's that kind of individual. We've known this. Like this has been the major issue with him, is that we know he's not fit to be a leader. He's not fit to be a role model. He's not fit to represent what this country is supposed to be about. And so I think that was a very clear indicator. And again, his diehard supporters at this point they've been defending this standpoint of his. They say this makes him a smart genius. And if he throws a bunch of numbers out and says all this stuff and then shifts blame to Biden, Biden speaks like a normal, coherent adult, but he also speaks in a language that, frankly, the people who adamantly support Trump won't understand or listen. It's like back in high school days, you don't listen to the nerd because he's speaking clearly, but you're like, I don't get what you're saying. So they want sound bites. They want like the sound bites of like just say a bunch of words and say some good things in there. That's why he always says big, beautiful, this and that. That's why he couldn't help himself. And he said, yeah, the biggest mask I ever seen, because he likes to inflate things to make them sound special and good.
All right, we're going to go over to Kevin. Kevin, what are your thoughts? Weigh in, my friend.
Trump doesn't figure out what his taxes are. He's not a CPA. He hires advisors like everybody else whose job is to figure out how to minimize it. And I think the real estate business is full of ways that professionals have a fiduciary duty to try to minimize your taxes. So, I mean, there's a real problem with the way the U.S. tax code is structured right now. It's something it'd be wonderful if someone could come along and fix it. But I think
like
there's much ado about nothing on this. I mean, you would fully expect him to pay as little taxes as he can get away with, like every other business in the world, as little as you can get away with legally. I don't think there's anything unusual about that. And I'm sure Biden and Bernie Sanders have tax advisors as well who do the same thing.
I'm gonna agree with you, man. I'm gonna agree with you. And I think that this problem is not about like, you know, who's paying taxes and who's not paying taxes. I think it's that there's billionaires out there who have there's a reason why these billionaires continue to be billionaires is because they all have these loopholes. Trump's not the only one. He's not the first one to do it, and he's not going to be the last one to do it. He's probably not even the best one doing it. That's what I want to put out there. He's probably not even the best one to do it. William,
I wanted to add to that real quick, though.
Real quickly, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the main problem, though, was not so much that he didn't pay taxes, that he lied and tried to misdirect about what he was misleading about his tax report and wouldn't release it. And now that it came out, it shows that he was lying. And he won't.
William, what are your thoughts? William, go ahead.
Well, I think we need to quit being so gracious and calling Trump a businessman. I mean, this is the man who owned the world's first casino to ever go bankrupt. So if we're going to call him a businessman, I mean, he's terrible at it. And I do agree in the sense that he has gotten away with paying as little taxes as possible, which I think is everyone's goal. However, the only reason he's been able to do that is because he's been writing off so many losses because every business he's ever owned has gone bankrupt. So I think we really need to quit being so generous and calling this man a businessman. Like, this is a business foreclosure man. I mean, he's just not a businessman. So I mean, I do agree. Like, you want to pay as little taxes as possible. But first he said, oh, I've paid so much in taxes. And then he said, oh, no, I haven't paid taxes because of laws that Biden has helped make. So which is it? Is it you're not paying taxes because of Biden, or you're paying a lot of taxes anyways? Like, Trump doesn't even know. So if what he did was legal, which I don't know, because according to Trump, he's been under audit for the last 5 years. So if what Trump is doing has been legal, then more power to you. Pay as little taxes as possible. But I mean, do we even know? Like, I mean, we've never seen his tax returns.
Yeah. I agree. There's one comment from Jen who's like, Jen, I thank you so much for being on top of it. I don't know how Jen has followed the stream or whatnot, but Jen's got something that I want us to all answer here. Jen says this. She says 100% Democratic presidents keep having to clean up the destruction that GOP tax cuts, which are not free. We regular Americans pay for them, and deregulation due to the economy. So I have had a couple of beers, so I may not be reading that right. I'd like for anybody to take that. What are your thoughts about that in response to what Jen is saying? Go ahead, take the floor. Anybody?
Sorry,
I know you got to read it. Sorry.
I think that falls in line with politicians taking donations from large corporate companies. And I think that's why a lot of politicians have been against taking large donations. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to like tax cuts and stuff like that, that's probably the most corrupt part of politics, I think. on both.
Awesome. All right, guys, we got two more things. We got two more topics that we want to dive into, and this has been an absolutely amazing show. I want to thank you guys all again for joining the stream tonight. We got two more topics. Taylor's going to take the lead on that, and then we're going to finish up tonight's show. Tonight's
and there was a lot of topics that we didn't cover quite yet. So law and order and healthcare. And while these are very important topics, there were two that still I think is important for this group to discuss. And the first one is COVID-19. That is a huge component. That was a very large segment of the overall, and it's a huge component for decision makers, right? So, from your opinions, who won the COVID-19 debate? Maybe starting back at the top, William. What are your
thoughts? Go ahead.
When you say who won the COVID debate, what do you mean exactly?
Who won, baby? Who won? Like between Biden and Trump, they both have their responses. Here's my thoughts. I think that Biden won. I think that Biden had a lot to say about what he would do, and I think he had a lot to say about how Trump failed. I feel like Trump did not take this seriously.
There was one thing that he said very specifically that it was just. I think I even heard Kelvin yell at it. Was that Biden said to Trump, "You didn't react. American people didn't panic. You
panicked." I wrote that down. I said, baby, Trump. And here's the other thing, too, is that Trump, for me, Trump never took. I got a knife here. That's just to open up the beers, guys. Trump never took. I'm like, Trump never took ownership. He never took ownership. Even when speaking about the COVID-19 pandemic tonight, Biden said what he would do. He said that what he was going to do to protect citizens. He said that he would do what he was going to do to protect citizens because of what Trump didn't do, right? As soon as Trump started speaking about it, he immediately, the first thing that came out of his mouth was China. There's the first thing that came out of his mouth, and it just was like, guys, what is going on?
And then the mask out of the suit.
Come on. And then he brought a mask out of the suit and then blamed Biden for wearing a mask. So I want to know from you guys, who won that part of the debate as far as COVID-19 and how they would deal with it or how they didn't deal with it? William, go ahead.
Well, I mean, when it comes to who won, I mean, it's hard to separate just the debate from what Trump has actually done or lack thereof. I mean, 200,000 people have died under Trump being president. 200,000 people. 20% of the world's deaths have been in America. And that is 100% because of our president. And Trump tried to bring up how Biden handled the swine flu. Like Biden said, 14,000 people died versus 20,000 people died. So, I mean, there's that. When it comes to who actually won, I mean, it's really hard to say that Trump did. I mean, the only thing that Trump has is I shut down travel from China early on. And that is somewhat true. It wasn't that early on compared to when he actually found out about it. But one thing that nobody's talking about, well, two things. One thing I wish Biden would have just said, you straight up lied. Like, you lied about how serious it was. He did say that you didn't tell the truth necessarily, but I wish he would have just called him a liar. Which he didn't. But one thing that no one's talking about is Trump said, we are not going to allow entry into America from other countries. And what that ended up doing is it caused Americans who were traveling abroad to panic and rush back into the country because they didn't think they were going to be allowed to get back. And all those people from other countries ended up bringing the virus to America. So, I mean, I think that's a huge problem, but nobody talks about that. What really happened is he banned travel from people who aren't Americans. Anyone who is American was allowed back in the country, but Trump didn't specify that. And a lot of Americans brought the virus back with them because everyone panicked.
That's actually pretty huge. That's pretty huge. That's and honestly, that speaks to a lot of xenophobia to me. But that's a whole other show, a whole other topic. Mohib, we're gonna jump to you. Go ahead. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think you're right. Like, that is something that isn't talked about enough. And I think I want to believe that Biden would have gone into more deeper details of what mistakes Trump made were also hi Arjit, if he hadn't been interrupted as much as he was. And I mean, 2 minutes to kind of cover like serious issues that affect the entire nation, probably not enough time, especially when you're only really getting about 30 seconds. And I mean, obviously Biden won that because that's a no contest situation, right? I mean, Trump has, even when he pulled out that mask and then mask shamed Biden at the same time, he was doing what he always does with this stuff. It's a bullshitter will deflect, cause blame, will take credit for little things that do well. And then at the same time, he wants to play to everybody's like, he doesn't take the virus seriously still to this day. I think he is just as far gone in his propaganda or the right-wing propaganda and the anti-mask propaganda as the people who actually believe that stuff are. And so he's kind of waving this like, hey, masks aren't that big a deal. I'm a big, strong man. And I had these rallies, nothing happened. And I was surprised no one brought up Herman Cain. And maybe Biden did that out of respect, but I think at that point you should have brought it up. Herman Cain, it was Herman Cain, yeah, that died because he got COVID at a Trump rally. And that's not brought up. Like, yes, somebody died. Like somebody that you worked with died. Somebody that supported you died. Somebody that spoke there died from the lack of like taking it seriously. 200,000 people died. Biden at least showed compassion. He spoke directly to the American people and he said, you know, like look around at those empty seats. Trump doesn't bring that up. Instead, he wants to deflect blame. To him, it's not about saving the people. It's about saving the economy because, again, he answers to billionaires, which he wishes he was. And he doesn't really truly care about we're all product, right? He always talks about economy, and never about actual real deep down social issues. He doesn't talk about actual issues that they could have helped with the virus. He boasts about a vaccine that doesn't exist. He boasts about PPE and sending out help to hospitals and all that. And he didn't really do that. The communities did. The Facebook group, open source COVID-19 medical supplies group, which grew to like 80,000 members in the first few weeks of the pandemic. They, I think at this point, probably like 20 million units of PPE distributed worldwide through open source efforts. And while the government was screwing around and seizing resources. So Trump lost that because he's the reason why we're in this mess.
All right, Kevin, wrap it up. And then we got one final question for you guys. We're going to wrap up our show. Kevin, what are your thoughts? Who won the COVID-19 debate? Go ahead.
Well, Trump had an opportunity to come across as sympathetic and do something. Maybe he could have shared a story about Herman Cain. I think he could have expressed sort of the difficult choices he's had to make and why he made them and won some sympathy. But he really didn't. He was just belligerent. So certainly Trump didn't win. And by comparison, Biden did better. Again, the only thing I can make of this is that the whole play for the Trump team was just to try to rock Biden and try to get him to falter or to appear lost. That's the only way I can make sense of it, because it's really weird that he would get up there and behave the way he did. Trump, I mean.
Yeah, dude, I think that is such a powerful thing you say, Kevin, is that was, I mean, very early on, it was just like within the first like 7 minutes of watching this, I already, before Biden even said, I was like, Trump, shut up.
Constantly.
Shut up, man. Like we can't even like I had a bunch of friends that were like watching this and texting me and stuff about it, and they were just like I had to turn it off. And that's what my question is like, at what point did you turn it off? You know, and why did you turn it off? I guarantee you a lot of it was because Trump did not allow anyone to speak. He didn't allow anyone to speak. And so it was very interesting to see him just like bogart the entire conversation and not, I don't know, man, just not allow healthy debate. Conversation, healthy debate, which is a great opportunity for him to just kind of like show his best side.
But he would have lost if he actually held a honest, true debate. He would have lost at every corner.
Yeah.
If you give anybody an opportunity to talk to him directly, that's why he never talks when like he has press briefings. He curates. He'll always pick on OAN or Fox, and he will cut off anybody who asks him a serious question. It's the same with like and I'm not going to prescribe to be a therapist or psychologist, but he has a lot of narcissistic personality disorder tendencies.
Agreed.
Which is when somebody like that is very charming, but if you give them an opportunity to like talk and get to know them, you're going to find out they're full of shit.
Kevin, if I could just make this one point real quickly. You did see Biden kind of wind down and his speech did get a little less firm as the debate went on. If Biden had lost his temper and kind of lost it or, lost his train of thought, that would have been a knockout. And we would have said, wow, this was really a brilliant strategy on Trump's part. So it didn't work. But if it had gone that way, I think it would have looked like a really smart move.
He didn't feed the troll.
That's a powerful thing, what you just said right there, Kevin, because that was it speaks to exactly what you were saying earlier, was that's his whole strategy, right? We want to knock Biden down. It didn't work. So because that strategy didn't work, now what do you have? Okay, guys, we have our final question. I want to know, and Taylor can add in on this, is based on everything that we know now, from what your thoughts about the entire discussion, who won tonight's debate? Was it Trump? Was it Biden? And why do you think that?
Well, and I think it was reflective of one of the questions that Chris Wallace asked, right? Like, so he asked, why should voters vote for you over the competitor?
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And so I think there's a component I would like for you guys to seed in who officially won.
Who won in your eyes? Yeah.
In your opinion, based off of what you know and what you saw with the debate, which vote or who should people vote for? Which is the primary candidate?
You each get 2 minutes, my friend. Tell us who you think won and why they won. We're gonna start from the top, go down to the bottom, and then that's gonna be that, my friends. Go ahead, William. The floor is yours.
I mean, I do believe that Biden won. Like I said before, I think the bar was set pretty low. I mean, it's just really hard. It's hard to win when you're responsible for 200,000 people dying, 1 in 1,000 African Americans dying, on track to be 1 in 500. There were a lot of missed opportunities. I think when Biden didn't bring up Herman Cain dying, I think that was a missed opportunity. But I think that obviously, I mean, it's hard. I mean, how can you really say that people should go out and vote for Trump? I think it's pretty obvious who people should go out and vote for. However, I don't think the debates are really going to like sway people one way or another. I think if anything, it might convince some people who weren't planning on voting to go out there and vote. But if you're a Trump supporter, I don't think tonight's debate changed your mind one way or another. If you're a Biden supporter, I don't think tonight's debate changed your mind either. So hopefully people who weren't planning on voting will go out there and vote. But I mean, that's all I have to say about that.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much. We're going to go over to Mohib. You got 2 minutes, my friend. Tell us who you think won, why they won, and the floor is yours.
2 minutes.
Go ahead. 2 minutes.
So I think ultimately the American people lost is more the reality because we're in this situation to begin with. And it's not a matter of should you vote for Biden. It's you have to. I don't think you should have to vote for him, but that's where we're at. I don't like either candidate. I think people know how I feel about Trump. I despise him. I'm going to be very frank about that. He's a monster. He's an actual horrible human being. And again, they both won as far as their bases go. And if we boil it down to take away all the policies and everything else and who did what, at the end of the day, Trump expected to wear down Biden. And he almost briefly did something that I was worried Trump's base would try to hammer on, is that his stutter started to come back. He's talked about he's gone through speech therapy for that. And that happened when Trump tried to talk crap about Hunter when Biden was talking about Beau, his son, who died. And so, and so Biden won in that he didn't cave into the expectations of the right wing that he is this low stamina, fluttering fool. He showed that he's a coherent adult. He's the adult in the room. He laughed with Chris Wallace, mocking Trump's behavior. And at the end of the day, he made Trump look to be who he truly is. Yeah. So I don't know who won, but Biden did all right, I guess.
All right, Kevin, let's bring us home, baby. Go ahead.
I thought Trump looked terrible and Biden looked okay. So Biden won the debate. In my book, anyway. As for who people should vote for, I think that the apologists for Trump can make a pretty strong case that people of conservative or classical liberal or libertarian disposition have a lot of reasons to like the last 3.5 years, have a lot of reasons to like this administration. I wish that we had somebody who could articulate that, but we don't. And I think he's, when you watch him in a rally, I think he does a much better job. He comes across as a much more reasonable person. And in this debate, he kind of confirmed what everybody who hates him thinks, which is that he's a bully, that he's unreasonable, that he rambles, that he's rude. He didn't do himself any favors. Let me put it this way. I'm not going to get to talk to my mom and say, see, he's fairly reasonable, isn't he? I'm not going to have that conversation with her because, I mean, he looked terrible. And I'm somebody, again, who's fairly sympathetic to the Trump administration.
Wow. Okay. Guys, that is going to be our show. We're going to go ahead and say goodbye to all of our guest hosts. And then we're going to open up the phone lines. We had a couple people that wanted to call in, but let's start at the top. William, where can they find you? And then we're going to get you off the show, my friend. Where can they find you? Go ahead.
I mean, you can follow my dog, Three-Legged Rocky, on Instagram. That's about it.
William, thank you so much for joining. We'll talk to you soon, my friend. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Mohib, where can they find you, my friend?
You can find me on Twitter at VirgilVox, VirgilVox. I tweet about robots, politics, and software nonsense. So awesome. Thank you. This was fun. So.
Mohib is a regular of ours, and he will definitely be on again. So thank you so much, Mohib. And then last but not least, Kevin Fry, where can they find you, my friend?
I know better than to say anything sympathetic about Trump than tell people where they can find me. They can find me on the patio with Kelvin and Taylor.
There you go. There you go. I'm in love with you, Kevin. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been a wonderful show. Thank you so much, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Love you.
Again, I started off the show saying this was going to be one of my favorite shows because it's awesome. Unscripted, it's planned, it's not planned.
This is awesome. This is awesome.
But what I can tell you is my what I'm looking forward to as the next steps is listening to the vice president debates, because I think that's where we're going to start seeing some of our actual presidential debates. And so I'm excited about those next steps.
So guys, we had a call that called in during a part of the segment that the show was not on. And I would like for you to, if you'd like to call in right now, please call back. I don't have your number or anything. If you want to call back and say what you got to say, please do so. I would love to. Tay, what are your thoughts about tonight's show, man? Like, I know you kind of gave us a little snippet, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think it's. I'm glad that we had the hosts that joined us, the co-hosts, and because they all reflect, we know them pretty well, and they all reflect different backgrounds.
Way different backgrounds. Yeah.
Each one of them had a different opinion, but a lot of them were consistent. Just I think the biggest consistency that we've seen across all of the hosts, all the conversations, and all the comments is that it was a shit show, right?
It was a shit show.
And it's kind of disappointing overall. Like, this is the presidential debate. Like, I have more professional meetings with 20-year-olds at work. Like, come on, guys.
It's a shit show. So here's the thing. My final thoughts on tonight's show is that first and foremost, I want to thank my guest hosts. We had William Ellers. We had William. We had Kevin. We had Mohib. Just three amazing, intelligent young people who, like you said, come from all different walks. They come from all different walks and backgrounds and whatnot. And we got a couple more comments here. Silent majority. I think Ben's got something that he wants to say, and I want to put him out. The informed on economic. Well, he said this. Well, first I want to say this. Jen says Biden was absolutely the adult in the room. I appreciate how he appealed to our common decency and banding together to deal with this fuck shit of here. I agree with you. And then we have Ben who said this, and this show is about everyone's opinions. And I want to make sure that everybody's voice is heard. Okay. Informed voters will think that Trump won the debate. What are your thoughts about that?
I think it's all about perspective. Like, it's very about perspective, right? Like, it's about, I think if you look at, even looking at we take that big rock of the debate and we break it down into smaller rocks. When we look at each individual category of race or healthcare or law and order or whichever, it depends on your political beliefs and it depends on your personal beliefs as
it does, and that's what divides us in America. That's what divides us in America, is that like what you personally believe. And so many of you guys don't know this, but I have okay, well, this viewer says, and you're handsome.
All right, that's your mom.
Well, okay, well, don't out my mom.
I agree with her.
Don't out my mom.
I agree with her. I'm not disagreeing, but
don't out my mom.
Yeah, let me make a comment.
Okay, so but anyway, let me get that off the screen. Thank you, viewer, for whoever that was. That's not my mom. But anyway, what I want to say is that I one of the things I did recently was I joined an All Lives Matter group. Okay, I joined a group that does not agree with anything that I agree with at all, like by any means.
Extreme opposites.
Like they are actually anti what I believe. And I did that because I had a good conversation with a very good friend of mine. I'm not going to say his name or anything, but just had a great conversation with that person. And like we talked about echo chambers and the risk of being in an echo chamber. And so I think that we all are in echo chambers, and I think that what's important is that we need to get out of our echo chambers. And so I joined this All Lives Matter group. Sorry, beer makes you burp. I joined this All Lives Matter group, and I just learned so much about like what they believe and what they truly feel and what their thoughts are. And I have my theory of what they are, and I truly believe that it's just self-hate. I think that there's a lot of white people that suffer with self-hate, much like there's a lot of black people that suffer from self-hate. And so I just think that I think that we need to come together. And I think that conversations like these need to come, are meant for us to come together. So.
Yeah. And we need whether that's the president, whether it's some other organization, we need somebody to bring us together, like
bingo.
And that's even where I got disappointed with Biden, right? Like when we were talking about race, he started diving into a lot of different topics, and I'm like, dude, I know well, actually, I don't know the answer, but I know my answer. My answer, he started leading into Black Lives Matter. He started leading into a lot of the riots that have been taking place.
Come on.
But it's like, dude, but he can't say this. I'm not sure if he can't say this or he's afraid to say this or what, but the correct response should have been, white people, the racism is the responsibility of white people, and we need to address this. We need to take responsibility, and black people got to take care of themselves, right? And they need to have their own conversations. So here is my plan to address this. We have more training, we have more resources, whatever that looks like, whatever that next step is. But he didn't. He kind of skirted around it,
which is what Biden does.
Which
is what Biden does. So listen, I'm an independent. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I am riding with Biden. Shit, I'm riding with Biden, but I'm complaining about it. I have my thoughts about it. Biden is not the best. He's not the best.
Yeah.
And he's not even the best to beat Trump. I don't think so. I still kind of think Trump may win. Listen, that's just my personal opinion. Did he win the debates tonight? No. But does his followers want him to win the debate? No.
Did his followers even watch the debate?
They don't care.
They've already made up their mind.
They don't care. So I think that we have to be better in society. So this has been a great show.
So good.
Taylor West. We got okay, hold on. We got this person here. Let's see. So unimpressed, both lost. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm here. I'm here with you. Here we go. I don't think he did. I think he tried to, and we're gonna end the night on that. I think that Biden did try, but the thing about it is that Biden has a history of not trying.
Yeah.
And so does Trump. And we have to, if we're going to be on one side, right, we got to recognize the other side, because it's about taking off the blinders and getting out of your echo chamber and seeing things for as they are.
Well, and even trying's not good enough for the president. I need
you to own it, man. I need you to own it. So
I need a plan. I need people to take ownership.
That being said, my name is Kelvin.
I'm Taylor.
And that is our show.